In today's video, we will do a deep dive into the bizarre and utterly disturbing life of Anatoly MOSKVIN and the horrendous crimes he had gone on to commit. Anatoly was a Russian man born on the 1st of September 1966. As an adult, he lived a pretty outcast type of life. Never married nor dated, was reportedly a virgin at the ripe age of 56 and preferred to live with his parents. All the things I've mentioned were quite odd and questionable. Anatoly was well known in the academic circles as a linguist and historian, and was often regarded as both a genius and an eccentric by fellow academics. He was known for speaking a whopping 13 languages, had written several books and translations, and had even worked as a part-time journalist. In 2005, a fellow academic and publisher commissioned Anatoly, who had described himself as a necropolist and an expert in local cemeteries, to go and summarize and list the dead in more than 700 cemeteries in 40 different regions. Now, for many people, that job would be a complete nightmare, but it had become public knowledge that Anatoly had a deep interest in cemeteries, burial rituals, the occult, and death itself, which he later divulged was due to an horrific childhood trauma he experienced at the ripe age of 13, where a group of adults forced him to kiss the corpse of a random 11-year-old girl while he was visiting a cemetery. Anatoly proceeded to spend the next 2 years on foot to inspect about 752 cemeteries, spending nights at abandoned farms, haystacks, or even in the cemeteries themselves, and had reportedly gone as far as to spend the night in a coffin which was being reserved for a funeral. He was often questioned by police who suspected him of vandalism and theft, but no formal arrests were ever brought about due to him showing his academic credentials. While everyone could agree with me that Anatoly was quite a peculiar character, nobody could be prepared for the events that would soon unfold. In the coming years, there had been a huge number of people who had begun coming forward about their loved ones' graves being tampered with, robbed, and even destroyed. Police worked tirelessly to try to find the perpetrator of these vile crimes, and had initially thought it was an extremist party. However, all their leads turned out to be dead ends until one fateful day, on the 2nd of November 2011, by mere chance, they were led to the doorstep of our well-respected, academically gifted friend, Anatoly MOSKVIN, in hopes that he might have some insight on the crimes, since all things related to death and cemeteries were his field of interest. Instead, they walked into a real-life horror story, which had even the most decorated detectives in the chokehold of their careers. In a twist of events, police discovered Anatoly was not only in possession of 26 female corpses between the ages of 3 to 29, but had also taken the liberty of mummifying them and then turning them into dolls, which were being displayed on the shelves and sofas around his apartment.
Да.
То есть он здесь эти делал, да?
Да, из трупов кукол.
То есть и глину там, да?
Да.
Там все девочки, да?
Ну, как правило.
Одежда, на кладбище, в обувь.
Вечерние съемки.
While only 26 bodies were found on the premises, it is believed that Anatoly had desecrated as many as 150 graves, which was the conclusion authorities came to after finding quite damning evidence of deceased people's personal items and even parts of tombstones in his possession. of which none belonging to the bodies they had found in his home. Police also recovered a collection of photographs and videos depicting open graves as well as graphic human remains, maps of cemeteries in the regions, and even instructions and DIY kits for making the dolls. Ironically, MOSKVIN fully cooperated with police and had even told them that he had been making the dolls for over a span of 10 years. When asked, his parents claimed to have no knowledge of his activities and had just assumed that he had a peculiar love for large dolls. MOSKVIN was facing up to 5 years in prison for the desecration of graves and dead bodies and was accused of committing hate crimes against Muslim corpses. In a twisted and unfortunate turn of events, MOSKVIN had undergone psychiatric evaluation and was diagnosed with a form of paranoid schizophrenia. In a hearing of the 25th of May 2012, courts deemed him unfit to stand trial, thus releasing him from any criminal liability. He was sentenced to coercive medical measures and prosecutors were satisfied enough to not appeal the verdict. So MOSKVIN was moved to a psychiatric facility, with his stay being reviewed on a regular basis. Now, in 2013 of February, his treatment was extended, then again in April 2014, and yet again in July of 2015. Shockingly, in September of 2018, MOSKVIN's doctors stated that he was no longer a danger and petitioned the courts to release him. However, in February of 2019, a psychiatric evaluation revealed that it was way too early to release MOSKVIN. Now, I am sure you're dying to know what the motive behind all of this was. Well, after his arrest, he had an interview in which he stated that he felt an extreme sense of sympathy for the dead children and thought they could be brought back to life by using either black magic or advanced science. He claimed that he would search for obituaries of recently deceased kids, and once he found ones that stood out to him, he would go and sleep on the child's grave, as he believed that helped him communicate with the dead child, and would be able to ask the child if the child wished to be brought back to life. MOSKVIN claimed that he had been doing this for close to 20 years, but was adamant that he never dug up a grave without the permission of the child or person within. Sleeping on graves became physically painful and uncomfortable as he grew older, so that's when he decided to start bringing the bodies home, where it would be more comfortable to sleep closer to them and where you could better hear them since they were no longer underground. In the same interview, MOSKVIN had went on record to state that he knew what he was doing was wrong and a crime, but felt compelled to help the children, and that helping them was more important than obeying the law. It was said that when the story first broke, many suspected that he had romantic feelings for the children and an extreme case of necrophilia, but those claims were later found to be untrue. The truth is, due to MOSKVIN being down on his luck with women and had never dated nor married, he was never able to get what he truly yearned for, which was children and a family of his own. MOSKVIN had in a sense found a bizarre way to create the family he has always wanted, but sadly, it was at the expense of other families' tragedies. Today, MOSKVIN spends his days in a highly secured psychiatric facility, but for how long? According to a source, the facility is once again petitioning for his release, and this time, after more than a decade, they may just be successful. Parents of the deceased children are appalled that he could be released, saying that he is bound to continue with his fantasies, and have voiced their opinions that hopes he stays locked up so that their kids can finally rest in peace. So, now comes the big questions. Do you believe that MOSKVIN has been rehabilitated and deserves to be freed for good? Or do you believe that if he is let out, he will return to his twisted and sick habits and destroy more people's lives? Let us know down below in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you get notified about all our top 5 videos. Hope to see you soon.